Derek Steele, it's great to be here with you, my brother, on Lead the Shift. As you know, Lead the Shift is a part of our new newsletter at LeadersUp, where we're really looking at the shift our communities, our city, our county, our state, our nation must make in order for us to future-proof our economy. Today, we're
Mhm.
actually focusing on future-proofing our communities and how do we build the systems where everyone has the power, the access, and the opportunity to flourish. The work that you're leading at the Social Justice Learning Institute has been tremendously inspiring. We've been partnering across Social Justice Learning Institute and Leaders Up for a number of years, but our work got deeper when we connected via the Black Experience Action Team, and particularly the Bold Black LA movement and the policy agenda work that we're doing to ensure that Black people have the opportunity, the access, and support to maximize their potential across money, housing, and health and ultimately flourish. So, Derek, welcome to Lead the Shift.
Man, it is a pleasure to be here, Jeffrey. I'm very, very grateful to be able to be on this platform with you, talking about how we envision the future, what steps we need to take in order to get there. Because I think in the moments that we are in, with all the things happening, not only just here in the country, but around the world, it is really about us being able to dream wildly about what the future holds. Because I think when we think about our ancestors, that's what they did to get us to where we are now. So we got to do the same.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think that we share as a common value is that we recognize and believe in the radical imagination of the communities that we work in and the communities that we live in. So tell us a little bit more about Social Justice Learning Institute, and then we'll dive deeper into the Black Experience Action Team.
Yeah, the work here at the Social Justice Learning Institute, we're focusing on improving the overall health, education, and well-being of youth and communities of color, right? And it's a strong focus on making sure that those folks can enact the change that they want to see in their communities. We are an institute, so we do conduct research, but I think what makes us unique is who's doing the research. It's our young people in the classroom, in our urban scholars class or urban health fellowship, where they're getting credit for learning about civic engagement and how they can be agents of change in their communities, but they're also getting the tutelage from a even college level research capabilities on how to actually understand the needs in community and how they can be changed. It's our community members that may be doing health assessments about the way that the health landscape even looks like in their communities, or even volunteers who may be door knocking on people's doors trying to find out what the issues of the day may be. But we take the learning from those research opportunities and develop the direct programming, the training that is necessary for people to have the know-how on how to create the change they want to see. So the idea is that once you have the knowledge from the research, the know-how from the training, you have developed the capacity within yourself to be able to use your own agency to change each other's lives. So really, at the end of the day, all that to say, we are a tool for the community. We are a vessel for the community and ushering in the vision of what they say they want to see the future of these communities to be. Like, we want to make sure liberation is what we are able to achieve. And we can do that when people are able to live whole, free, thriving lives. And we got to do that together in order to get there.
And you know what I think is very interesting and inspiring about the work that you're leading is that we know that there's a lot of lived experience and lived wisdom that
Mhm.
exists across our communities already that can develop tools, that can develop solutions, that can develop policies that will really ensure that all of us can thrive. But also combining that lived experience and wisdom with a framework, with a
Mhm.
expanding the toolbox with another set of tools that we can use to effectively organize, communicate, advance a community where everybody can really thrive. That moves me into some of the work that we've been doing collectively at Leaders Up with Social Justice Learning Institute and in
Mhm.
partnership with your leadership related to the Black Experience Action Team. Give us more about the context of the Black Experience Action Team and the power building that we've been doing related to Bold Black LA, centering on health,
Mhm.
housing, and money, and ultimately working to build the agency to redefine what it looks like to thrive or flourish in Black LA.
Yeah, I think you mentioned two really important things, right? Like carrying on to what I was saying about us locking arms and the work we got to do together in order to get to a world where people can live liberated lives. It's going to take doing it together, but it's also going to take the thoughtfulness around how we build power together, right? Now, no one organization, no one leader, no one community has all the answers, but it's what we can do to collectivize that energy and be able to take the steps that are necessary for us to be able to elevate the work forward, right? And I think with Bold Black LA and actually the Black Experience Action Team is where it started. We're not just building power for the moment. We're building the infrastructure for Black futures, right? You asked the question of like, what does it look like for Black people to be in LA in 50 years from now? Like, you can't just use that as an idea. You can't just have power just for the sake of having it. You have to build the infrastructure for that to be the
Mhm,
case.
mhm,
And so, when we think about what it takes and what areas of focus we have to build infrastructure around, the starting places that we've decided upon is how we build power in our economic futures, how we lock arms and work together to make sure that everyone has a roof over their head and a place that they can call home as we do this work together, and also how are we making sure that people are living long enough lives to actually see the work that they have done come to fruition, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
money and health become critical elements of the beginning of this flower that we're trying to actually have blossom. And we're able to take the energy of us learning those things together through Beat to develop the structure of Bold Black LA, which is more than just a campaign. It's a
Mhm.
really movement ecosystem for that building of the infrastructure I was talking about. It's our collective response to the structural erasure, the economic disinvestment, the public neglect that Black Angelenos have faced for decades. It centers us in these budgets. It is thinking about us when it comes to the policy. It is making sure that we are reimagining what safety and prosperity and community actually means, right? So we believe together, and I'm talking about not just me and you, but all of us, the 75 plus organizations that might be affiliated, the leaders who are affiliated as well. Like, we believe that belonging is the foundation of justice. So our work is about stitching together a future where Black people in LA belong in their homes, in their health systems, in their neighborhoods, in their wealth building systems, and their journeys. It's not charity, man. We talking about justice, and justice is the element along with equity that builds that bridge to get us to liberation.
You know what continues to inspire me about this work as well, and just helps me get up every morning and keep fighting this fight is, to
Mhm,
your point, is that we're not designing a collection of programs anymore solely. We're actually building power.
mhm,
And what I appreciate about the Black Experience Action Team and the space that we've created, well, one, it's a space that normalizes safety, makes opportunity equitable, and shares power, which are the
yes,
values
sir.
that we feel at Leaders Up anchor this future economy that we must build collectively.
Right.
But what I also appreciate about it, just real talk, is that for so many years we have been fighting for a seat at the table, and I think the real power move is that what we said and did was we actually just created a new table,
That's right.
and a table that is multi-generational at the same
Uh-huh,
time. It's cross-sectoral, right? A table that really takes the collective and individual superpowers of organizations and leaders that are committed to Black LA thriving and
mhm.
putting those things to work, putting those superpowers to work. It's kind of like the Avengers of Black LA, so to speak. But talk to us more about like the power building element of the Black Experience Action Team and the journey that we've been on as a collective to really ensure that we're future proofing the Black community and beyond.
Brother, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, we're not waiting to be invited into systems that were never built for us in the first place, right? We know that we operate and live within the racialized caste system that is called America, right? And the rules were also, not only built on the systems of white supremacy, but also built on the back of anti-blackness, right? So, in order for us to again achieve the idea of liberation, I say the idea because liberation is not like this world that, oh, once we got there, we're in utopia. It's instantaneous, right? Because the definitions from generation to generation of what liberation will look like will always change, but the tools and the elements that we have and the blueprint that we're building, right, to make sure that we can get to liberation on our own terms and actually live free on our own terms, like those things will always exist in the foundation, right? And I appreciate the way you frame the question too, because it does outline what the structure of what Beat and also Bob Black LA kind of sits within. This is not just about one a generation of our folks trying to do work for everybody. This is bringing the table together in a way that brings those voices to the table, that brings the wisdom of our elders to build, to pour in to the emerging leaders of our young people, while those of us in the middle help to translate the conversation that's going back and forth, right?
Hmm.
And those three pillars, housing, health, and money, like those aren't abstract concepts for us. Like their survival, their stability, they're the gateway to long-term thriving, but we have to make sure that we understand what it looks like on all levels and all cross sections of our communities in order to get to where we're trying to go. So we created Beat as a container for collective Black vision, but it's also rooted in the brilliance of community. And you know, when we did the work to understand where the starting place was for this, this is during the pandemic. This is a time George Floyd is killed, and there is a global conversation around how we don't go back to what the status quo was before. This is a fight that Black folks have been fighting for quite some time. And
Hmm.
so when this discussion was happening with our peers from other cultures, and wanting to have a collective conversation about what is needed, shout out to the Black women who were at that table. Sharice Brumon Weaver,
Hmm.
April Verrett,
Hmm.
and so many others who were there to say, well, if we're going to talk about not going back, we need to make sure that we are centering that conversation in the Black experience,
Hmm.
because we have been enduring these things for quite some time. Now you see it. So what are we going to do about it? And creating that space then to build the report, the path to justice runs through equity. You know, they selected that title because it just wasn't a title; it was a call to move beyond the resistance and start building systems of equity for that are at our foundation. So here we are today. We have a lot of the pieces and the tools together to actually start to mobilize this thing together, and I think we're off to a great start.
I agree. Um, and when I think about like the power that has been amassed through the collective that is being formed through the Black Experience Action Team, what energizes me is that now we have a plan, right?
Right.
We've done a lot of work over the last few years of meeting and retreating and creating
Yeah.
space where Black imagination can thrive, where
Mhm.
strategy can be anchored in to the lived wisdom and experience of folks that are on the front lines, leading movements, organizing communities, and most importantly, just being Black in Los Angeles to understand what it takes
That part.
to build a space where we all can flourish. And
Uh-huh.
I know, who was it? Gil Scott Heron said the revolution won't be televised, but if we lifted up the hood and thought about, what the plan is, particularly around partnerships and engaging our community more frequently
Mm.
throughout the year, what are some of the things that are most exciting to you about the work of the Black Experience Action Team and the Bold Black LA movement?
You know, we are doing this work and even started this work in global historic moments of time, right? And like I just mentioned, like, you know, the discussion and the origins of the Black Experience Action Team happens during one of the uh, people are going to look back at this time in history in
Oh, absolutely.
2020 and talk about all the things that were happening around the world because of the pandemic, but also the global attention that the minutes of a police officer's knee in somebody's back, ends his life, and everybody saw that. You know what I mean?
Significant beats across the movement of human
Come
rights.
on, brother. Come on, brother.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And so, when we start to think about, well, what do we need to do to build that plan, and starting to coalesce the team around it to start to build that plan, like have to, this is not a new idea, but we can't just be reacting to crisis
Right,
anymore. You know what I mean? Like we have to be designing systems that make crisis obsolete.
right, to have some durability, right?
Exactly, brother.
Mhm.
And so when you look at the arc of history, even just in this country, there have been these moments where crisis takes place, or something significant is happening, and technologies might even advance. But at the same time, undergirded to that is also social movement that's taking place in order to progress us forward as well. And when you when you look at those social movements, Black folks is right in the middle of all the things that are pushing the mantle for us to have social change for the better, of not just our lived experience, for all people's experience, right?
Mhm.
So when I'm adding, but every generation has also added their element to it over
Oh,
time
yeah.
too, right? Because the times denoted what they could and could not do, and how they protected each other and how they looked out for each other. And I think for us, we get to add part of the approach that is prevention forward, right? Like this means that, when we're thinking about funding things like mental health, we're thinking about doing that before we're talking about incarceration,
Right.
right? When we're building housing, or when we're trying to make sure that everybody has access to housing, we're doing that before displacement. Right? We're not
Right.
reacting to the displacement. We need to be thinking about, what does the world look like for us to thrive? And let's build the systems and build the ideas around that. We need to be investing in economic mobility before poverty even becomes generational. Right
Yep.
now, yes, we are in these moments and those things are already happening as is, but like it's about how we rethink it. And that's why I started the conversation talking about, like, what does it look like for Black people to exist in LA 50 years from now?
Mhm.
Well, we have to start building that plan. We got to
Exactly.
dream wildly about what that plan looks like. We have to make sure that the fundamentals keep us from ever having to come back to these things that put us in the posture of having to think that way in the first place, and make sure that we're not working alone, right? We got to build across sectors. So it's not just the nonprofit space doing the social good. How is the future of business? How, AI is now here. So like, how does that even change the
Yeah.
fundamentals and the fabrics of how we even exist? How we know each other, how we exist, and how we engage with each other. How does the environment even look different in the future because of that? Like, there's a lot of questions that are not just economic, but even philosophical, about what our plan is going to be into the future, that we have to answer. And we can't answer it in a silo. Like, we have to actually be around the table together and answer it together.
Yeah, I think a big part of the plan is creating the space for
Mm,
folks to retreat, for
mm-hmm,
folks to have, revolutionary ideation,
mm-hmm,
as a collective and individually. And one of the things that continues to resonate with me is we have to be able to think ahead so that we are driving that preventative strategy, right? And it's always, to your point, I think the analogy would be if we see folks floating down a river drowning,
uh,
yes, we want to grab them out the river so that they won't be drowning anymore. But we also want to go upstream to see why folks are falling in the river in the first place.
right. What happened? How did we get here? Yeah.
How did we
Facts.
get here? Right? And facing those, those hard truths and brutal facts,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
um, because that's how you move from good to great. And
Yes, sir.
I really think, the work of the oppressive force is to really diminish one's capacity to have radical imagination.
Mhm.
And this cycle of revolution builds one on top, one generation after the next, when we can, number one, and this is what I also love about the Black Experience Action Team and the space that we've created is well, we recognize we're standing on the shoulders of our elders and our
Mhm.
ancestors, and
Mhm.
also have built a practice of pulling up and bringing forth the powers of our ancestors so that
Right.
we're not walking this journey alone. We're walking with
Mhm.
the tools and the capabilities and superpowers of generations before and integrating into that the innovations of AI, the innovations of technology, the innovations of how we have shaped and wielding now culture at a global scale,
Mhm.
and taking those into account and building those hardwiring those capabilities of the Black community into the plan that we're moving forward as a collective.
Mhm. Mhm.
But we also know, Derek, that you can have the power, you can have the plan, but it takes capital.
That
And I'm
part, right?
talking about capital C capital, right?
Yeah,
Like
I got you. I got
political,
you.
social, financial capital. Um, and can you talk to us about the early wins that Beat has experienced around organizing um, community around this work so that we have an infusion of a diverse infusion of capital across our movement, whether that be our work with philanthropy, our work with some of our culture leaders across the community, some of the things that we've even done in the last month with the cookout and the
Mhm.
green book, etc.
Mhm.
Talk to us more about that work and the intentionality around really ensuring that we have the capital, the fuel, the plan that we're working on.
So I feel like just I'm glad you framed capital in the way that you did because it's not just the resource piece, which is
Okay.
important, right? Like we gotta have we live in a society where you gotta have the bread to do what you're trying to do, right? But we have been able to establish ourselves individually to actually garner capital in other ways. The social capital, the 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 body the body of knowledge that we've also garnered as well. Like there is some of us who have done this work for quite some time that just have all the pieces and all the relationships to kind of bring to the table. But it's almost like the lions on themselves are cool, but you got to form Voltron sometimes when you're trying to fight the beast
Yep.
in a very real way, right? And I think that's what we've been able to do. And even in the face of the adversity that the last few years have brought, but even now that we're in, where the administration is doing what they're doing, and it has been so detrimental to so many parts of our communities, because we've been organizing together for so long, we've built the recognition and the community capital to make sure that we're gonna be okay. That we can do things like the cookout where we create a space that's for Black people anyway. You know what I'm saying? For us to be able to come together and to eat together, to break bread, to enjoy a day out in one of the most beautiful parts of LA, at Kenneth Hahn, but also to learn in that space too about how we can actually connect the resources we all have into one space so that people know where to find the support that they need.
Yeah. They're aware.
So the Bold Black book, and again, this is not new ideas. This is actually tapping into the legacy and the types of things that our ancestors have already done, and just bringing them into today's world, and even enhancing them even further. Because what we have that our ancestors did not. We have access to the internet. We have access to ways to connect in ways that they did not back then, right? So we're able to create a counterbalance and a counter narrative and counter activity to the things that are trying to oppress us by actually lifting each other up,
The
one by
currency.
one, and that exactly right. So
Mhm.
I'm saying all that to say that I feel like we're shifting narratives about who deserves to be invested in,
Mm.
because we have from grassroots orgs, to Black legacy institutions. We're channeling resources, we're channeling dollars, we're channeling visibility, you know, towards work that we're already doing. Like, you know, we don't have to create something new because a lot of these things already exist. We're just creating the platform for it all to be weaved together. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like the African proverb says, right? You can go faster alone, but further together.
Come on, brother.
And I feel
That's
like
right.
we've gotten into that operational and communal cadence that allows us
Mhm.
to really move, still in the line from drumline as one band, one sound,
One sound,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah. And you know,
it's so
even to that real quick, I'm sorry if I could add real quick that
absolutely.
because we have been doing this and been having the conversations, we're seeing ripples across LA County in other ways. So like
Yep.
Beat got his thing that is doing, but now there's other opportunities and groupings of Black leaders popping up in other ways. You know what
Oh,
I
yeah, we
mean?
were just talking about that last week, right?
Exactly.
And that's the
Yeah.
type of organizing that we need in the Black community, but also in the capital C community, right?
Come on.
Because we are more alike than we are different.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
especially when it comes to communities that have been denied power.
That's
How do
correct.
we build and recognize, build upon the power that we innately have and set a vision, you
Hmm.
know, anchored to values and anchored to a village, that really allows us to move as a collective
Hmm.
and demand what we deserve, right? And beyond just what we deserve, but the life and the community, whether that's the built environment or the more, the community of people and energy and relationships we have, um, that we deserve here in Los
That's right.
Angeles. Like
That's
this
correct.
is the creativity capital, right?
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
no there's no short of ideas in this space and in this city and county. However, what I really love about the work that we're doing, and I say love intentionally because I think that I know that so many times in this work, love is what's missing. And I'm talking about
Hmm.
Bell Hooks' definition of love, of an
Yeah.
investment in your own or someone else's spiritual, emotional well-being, is that um, community starts with relationship. And so
Mm.
looking at one another and saying, I care about you.
Come on, bro.
I'm thankful for the relationship as leaders we've built over the last 2 years.
Hmm.
And Leaders Up, Social Justice Learning Institute have been orbiting in the same community, doing similar work that really complements one another for years. But the
Right.
type of collaboration and intentional partnership that we have now that extends beyond you and myself, but to our team members,
That's right. That's right.
you
Yeah.
know, where I see you, I respect you, and we're going to roll up our sleeves to get this work done. I
Yeah.
believe is, part of the source code of what we need to really future proof our communities.
Mm.
One of the things I admire most about you, Derek, for fantastic leadership, transformative organization, is the humility that you have in this space and how you model what it looks like as an inclusive leader to
Mm.
leave the ego at the door and create space for everyone's superpowers to be collectively around the table. And I think if we can get more of that going on in our community, where we're just egoless, which is really, us being self-aware enough to say, this is what I'm good at, this is what I'm not
Facts.
so good at, this is how I can connect and be okay. I don't
Hmm.
need to be able to do this if Derek knows how to do it. And I think so many times communities are fractured because leaders get in the way of their own selves, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's no place for that because we got too much other stuff to be worried about.
We do. We do, Jeffrey. We definitely do. And I think it takes one to know one, right? And every generation, it's not everybody is not a part of the movement in every generation, right? But there are those of us who fully understand the continuum that we are a part of, and the work that we need to do in order to continue to advance the structures that are needed, or even the infrastructure that I was saying earlier that is needed for us to be able to march towards liberation. Like when we see each other, we see each other, right?
Exactly.
And somebody was asking me like, well, in this time and in this moment, because we not linking up the way we need to. Like, are Black folks ready? Like, are they going to be? Are we going to be able to do the things that are necessary in this time if we not engaging with each other, not talking with each other? We may not be ready, but Black folks stay ready.
Stay ready.
You know what I mean?
Everyone got to get ready.
We ain't gotta get ready. We stay ready. So, and an example of that, like if I'm running down the street and you see me running, you probably, oh, Derek, where you going? But you probably going to try to catch up to me to find out what's going on, because we stay
Oh,
ready.
absolutely.
So that's the
Absolutely.
energy.
I mean, we take cues from one another. We
Yes,
share
sir.
ideas. We
Yes, we
share
do.
infrastructure. We share, it's really, a capital V village mentality. Like,
Yep,
if I
yep.
got it cooking over here, you got it cooking over here. And
That's
that's
right.
the way that we have to, I think, come together to transform systems. So I'll go here, bro.
You got
Um,
it.
we talk about Black LA in the next 50 years, right? 50
Uh
years
huh.
from now.
Uh huh.
To you, what does a future proof Los Angeles look like when the Black experience action teams visions come to fruition, and when the pillars of the Bold Black LA movement are fully actualized?
Now, this is a really good question, right? And like, for me, a future proof Los Angeles from the Black experience standpoint, for one, like I was saying earlier about like the crisis, is like it's where our systems don't just withstand crisis, we're able to really heal
Hmm,
with them. You know what I mean? Um because of the because we have done our due diligence to center Black belonging, like the ideas of solidarity are redefined and real. Shared abundance is understood and recognized. We have rethought about what public systems and also what public safety is, and being able to stand on the business that is necessary for us to move and lock arms through all that. That means also that economic systems are circulating
hmm,
the wealth that is needed. And even the circulating, you have the idea of circulating the Black dollar. That's one part of it. But I think when you think about wealth, you also thinking about time. You're thinking about energy and like how those things are being expended and how we utilize them for and with each other. There's a full understanding in a future proof LA of who we are to each other and how we engage with each other. And the economic systems are one thing, but then the housing systems are protected, right? There are no questions around um, you know, people being on the street. There is no reason why Black folks should be making up 40 to almost 50% of the houseless folks that are on the street
hmm.
today. No, like that is not even a thing in a future proof Los Angeles.
Yep,
It's even an idea of people being unhoused. Like, we have changed the system in a way to make sure that Black folks are good, which means that everybody is good.
absolutely.
Um, and then in the health systems too, like it is about restoring Black joy. Like, if a Black man can smile and feel comfortable in sharing where he is and in his life, and engage with that with his brothers and sisters, or even gender nonconforming folks, like, and being able to be free in that Black joy, that means that we have a healthy community in a very
Absolutely.
real way. That's mental, that's physical, that's spiritual, you know. That when we're in those spaces where people can live whole, free, thriving, healthy lives, like when I'm talking about all the things I just mentioned, like all of that are the part of the concentric circles of someone being able to live that free and future proof LA. So we got a lot of work to do, because in certain instances we're nowhere near any of those things. But that's cool, man. That's the reason why we get together. We get to have these types of conversations with each other, Jeffrey. Start to determine together like what steps we need to take and what we're able to bring to the table in that, and just start doing the work.
I'm so thankful for this conversation, and most importantly, the work, because what you anchored in your last response, Derek, was a future proof Los Angeles is a healed Los Angeles.
Mhm.
where, we are using justice and love and economic and social inclusion to really heal some of the systemic or all of the systemic oppressive forces that are keeping Los Angeles and the Black community from really maximizing its true potential.
Mhm.
We're tapping
Mhm.
into the hidden genius. We're ensuring folks are not caught into a safety net, but more importantly, are bouncing on top of an opportunity trampoline while the
Come
safety
on, bro.
net of society unravels right before our eyes.
Mhm.
And I'm so thankful that our team at Leaders Up was able to help me think deeply. Because when I heard about this topic, a future proof community, I'm like, we're about a future proof economy. But they were like, Jeffrey, without no community, there is no economy.
Come on now.
And
Say that.
it arrested my attention to think about, again, us as a community going back to that village mentality, anchored to
Mhm.
values, anchored to having a vision. And I'm so thankful, Derek, that you took the time to really lean in and join this conversation. I'm thankful for the
Mhm.
partnership between Leaders Up and Social Justice Learning Institute. And most importantly, I'm thankful for the vision that we've co designed to ensure that every young person across LA County and beyond have the support, have the opportunities, and have the resources to really maximize their potential. Thanks to everyone for joining us today for the Lead the Shift interview series where we're bringing to the forefront leaders like my brother here, Derek Steele, Executive Director of the Social Justice Learning Institute, so that you can hear from proximate leaders how we are working together to ensure that we build a future proof economy. Thanks for joining us.